Well, welcome to our third segment about the crop budget and leasing tool. In this particular segment, I will be explaining how you can create a new budget from an existing budget. All right, so again, we could have several budgets here, and we will make changes. Now, this way to add a new budget to your tool is it will really only add the budget that's in this first column right here. So if you want to make changes to a budget and save it, make sure it's in this particular column. Now, you can still make changes over here, but there's really no way to save it from the second column or third column. So the budget that you're really modifying, you need to make sure it's over in this first slot before you try to make changes if you actually want to actually save those changes, all right? So let's go ahead and actually change this wheat budget, and let's assume that we want to adjust it for our own particular farmer, our own particular situation, then we want to go ahead and save that so we can use it in the future. Well, let's just say that, instead of maybe getting 50 bushel per acre now, instead maybe we get 60 bushel per acre. And let's say we want to look at a case where maybe the wheat price is going to be $5 instead of $5.50. So that changes the revenue there. And now let's also look at a case where maybe our seed cost is a little higher. Maybe our fertilizer cost is a little higher. Maybe our machinery numbers for harvesting, the variable cost are maybe going to be like $15, and maybe our fixed cost for harvesting, maybe have a more expensive combine or something. Maybe we have like a $25 fixed cost for harvesting, okay? You notice here that as we do that, that changes the numbers here. Again, the overrides take precedence over the default values, so when you calculate the total direct expenses as well as the fixed expenses, those will change because we have changed with these overrides the numbers that we have here. Now, as we get a return now, $42.46. Well, we know now, we want to use this budget in the future because this fits our situation better as opposed to the default one. Now there's a way you can actually save these numbers now and use this new revised budget in future calculations. So the way you do that is, once you have this budget in the first column with the overrides the way you think it should look like for the future use, we click on the Add a Budget page. And now you see that very first column here is showing up right here, and again it's taking either the override if it exists, or it's going to and using the default value, and that's the numbers you see showing here. Well, okay, so now you can actually save this in to a one of these spots over here that's kind of empty, and that's showing up as a yellow box right here. These are spots that don't have any budget in them currently. And at the moment, I have up to 70 spots you can add budgets. That's something I can easily change down the road if I need to. But right now, you have about 17 spots available to add more budgets. Well, what you do is you first have to give your budget a name that you want to save it as, and there's really two names that are going to show up. You can call this Test Budget for Kansas. That's going to be the menu name, and you give it a short name. So we'll just call it Revised Wheat Budget. And then that's what goes in those two spots, and then you have to pick a slot, okay? So really you can pick any of the empty slots that you have here. Now, theoretically, you could go through and change one of the slots here, but if you do that, remember that you'll never be able to get the default budget back unless you download a new copy of this tool. So be careful about adding anything into an existing slot, because that will go away and there's no way to recover it. So again, you can pick a slot number here, and let's say we just want to stick it into slot 60 because we know that is empty. So we'll key a 60 like that. And now what this will do, when you click on the Add a Budget button, it will go ahead and add this particular budget back into this slot here, and you can use it in future analysis work. And notice again, there's a hide, show all comments like you had before that explains what some of these things are. All right, so let's go ahead and add this into slot 60. And you can see that now our revised wheat budget is showing up here in slot 60. In fact, if you go over to our Name of Budgets page, which shows you all the raw data now, if you go over here to the very right, you'll see that budget that we just incorporated and made changes to is showing up right here in this particular slot, okay? So let's go back to the budget page and let's actually now add that budget back to our analysis here. So here's the original budget with the changes that we've made. Let's go ahead now in the second slot and pick that budget we have just made changes to, which should show up here down toward the bottom. And there it is there. And now notice here it should look exactly like this original budget with the overrides in place. So again, we have 60 bushel wheat, we have $5 price, we have our revised seed price fertilizer amount, and it looks exactly the same as what we made changes to. So now this budget now is at least a semi-permanent part of your budget collection. Again, you can change this and delete it like you did before. And but again, you can use it in future analysis, because when you save the program, this budget will be in this place and it's available to use for future analysis. So I think you'll find this pretty useful, especially for those of you who don't like the way our default budgets look for a particular region. You can actually adjust that, and you can use it for anybody else who might have to look at in that particular area that would have the similar situation. So again, I think a pretty handy little device, a way to save budgets for future analysis. All right, that'll be the end of how to add a budget.